Hey guys, welcome to my channel Beginner Website. In today's video, we're going to be doing a Elementor Pro tutorial, and I sort of want to help those new users or users that are currently facing a few issues, sort of wrinkle the air, give you a few tips and tricks so you can get on your merry way, and hopefully it will help you in your user experience with Elementor Pro. Now, if it's your first time on this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button because I'm going to be dropping massive value bombs in the future videos to do with either Elementor, WordPress, or websites in general, and I'd love for you to be there to receive them. And if this is your video where you're deciding if Elementor Pro is actually right for you, if you decide to purchase through any of the links in the description, I'm actually going to give you a free SEO course as well if you decide to buy Elementor Pro. So keep that in mind if you want a bit of an extra bonus if you buy Elementor Pro. So what are we going to be talking about today? So I've been using Elementor Pro for about 8 months now. It's an amazing plugin to go with any of your themes that you have. Just a few things to remember. It is not a theme. It is a plugin that can be attached. It's a page builder essentially that can work with pretty much 99% of all themes. So that's really good to know. And what I want to go through today is things like the navigation menu, the footer, all the elements, creating sections, rows, and just making it a really nice looking website. There's probably going to be lots of other things I'm going to add in there, but I'm going to just get pretty much straight into the training. So I'm going to jump behind the screen in a second and we're going to get into this today. Okay guys, here we are behind the screen. Now here is a fresh install of WordPress. I've actually already installed Elementor and Elementor Pro, so those two things are going. The only other thing that I've actually installed is the classic editor. I'm a bit of an old school WordPress user, so I love to have the classic editor rather than the new Gutenberg editor, so that's up to you if you want to do the same. And what I've done is I've actually just created 4 pages for this demo page. It is the law firm Elementor page template that's actually available, and I'll show you where you can get that in a second. But here's the 4 pages, and it's already installed, all published and ready to go. And today I just want to go through and edit a few things just to show you how you can actually use Elementor in your daily life. So first thing I want to show you is the customize tab. Now this is where you're going to learn about, playing with your footer, your header, and playing with widgets, right? As well as, typography and that sort of thing. I'm not going to go too much into typography or that sort of thing as it's basic WordPress sort of knowledge. If you haven't got any idea about WordPress and you want a bit of a helping hand, I'll leave a link to another video in the description. You can watch that and it's going to explain how you can set up all your typography and all your basic WordPress settings. So the real big variables in the Elementor and type dashboard is the ability to have a custom footer down the bottom here, as well as being able to move around the footer credits, everything like that. And the other part is the menu, right? So what I want to show you now is first of all the menu. So if you go to header, on the left bar there, it's header. And I'm using Astra, the free theme, just so you guys know you can use that as well if you want. What you want to do on the left here is site identity. Now, if you had a logo ready to go, you could easily drop it in here and it's going to end up instead of this demo data like so. And if you want to get rid of the demo data, all you need to do is uncheck site title and it's going to disappear and replace it with your logo. So that's just a quick little bit of an insight here for you. And the other thing that you can actually do is you can choose the way it looks. So if you go to primary menu, you can either choose your layout, whether you want the icon or in this case the site title at the top and then the menu items below it. It's just going to take a few seconds to load like so. So this would originally be your logo if you had it installed instead of the title, and here's your menu below it. And you can also do things like full width or standard content size width, just to give you an idea of what that would be. I'll show you in a second. But before we go, here's the mobile layout. As you can see, logo on the left, hamburger menu on the right, or the same again as this one, logo on the top, hamburger menu on the bottom. So that's really cool. So if I come back to the primary menu and I decide that I want to have the menu the normal width, right? The other thing that you should probably know is you can either set it to content width or full width, right? So this is currently full width, and if you go to content width, it's going to bring them in a slight bit as well. So that's pretty much all I really wanted to show you with the basic part of the header. You can play around with transparency as well and everything if you want the background colors to be transparent. It gives you a bunch of other options here if you want, say, your blog pages to be disabled so it's not transparent. You'll see in a second how it's like that. So it's pretty hard to see. The writing would have to change to white or something like that. But if you wanted it to be just normal colors on, say, a fully white page and you've got white writing, it can actually be disabled for things like the blog page. So keep that in mind if you're making transparent menu backgrounds, something like that. All right. Now, if we want to modify our footer, we can do so very easily in the footer tab. The first thing I'll show you is the easy part, which is the footer bar, right? And this is where you can actually change all this basic demo data, right? So at the moment it says powered by Astra WordPress theme. So what I'm going to change it to is I'm going to powered by beginner website, right? And if you know a little bit of HTML, you can actually add in links and everything here as well. So it's really cool. So that's already good to go. It's going to auto change every year. So that's really cool. This is basically using the site title. So you can play around with this as much as you want. Now, there is one thing you can actually do with the bottom bar, which I really like to see. And that is change the layout. So as you can see here, this is centered. So if I change it to left aligned text, and then you can have a second widget on the right, what's going to happen is it's going to drag all the text to the left, and it's going to allow you to create or add in some sort of section on the right. So as you have it, we have the text section on the left, and now we have an option to put something on the right, either a menu, a widget, or text, right? So this is really good depending on what you want. For example, I might want to add in some custom sort of elements in here, and that's actually possible using the builder, and I'm going to get to that in a second. Because it's using the widget, and there's actually an Elementor widget which allows you to create layouts and inject them in there. So it's pretty cool. It can be a little bit confusing, but I'll get to that in a second. So once again, content width or full width, so it's going to adjust the width of the footer dependent on the page. If the page was only half the size, say this big, if you can see my mouse, it would create the footer to be that big as well, if that makes sense. Currently it's on full width. Then you can play around your background colors and the typography and everything like that. So that's pretty much the footer bar. So there's a few extra things that you could do. For example, if you wanted to have 4 widgets at the bottom here, what you can do is come along to footer, then footer widgets, click on this setting here, and it's going to actually allow you to add in 4 individual widgets right here, as you can see. And to access those, what we want to do is come to widgets, and then you'll see it's got the 4 widget areas. Now, Elementor library, it's there because I was playing with it before. I'm actually going to show you that in a second. But basically, this is going to give you your standard widgets that you would have on a sidebar, and you can add them into these different footer sections, right? So that's really cool. So you can add in things like video, text, search, all that sort of stuff. So it's very, very cool. So what I'm going to do is actually leave it here for now. And I'm going to show you how you can create a custom widget for your footer or for your bottom bar or anything like that. So I'm going to click publish, and then I'm going to come back to this page here. And what I'm actually going to do is first reload it just so everything is all good and working. And then I'm going to create a custom widget. So before we get into the custom widget, I just want to show you all of the Elementor page templates because we have a lot out there. So what I'm going to do is click edit with Elementor, and just keep in mind that I have already activated my copy of Elementor. So if this is your first time, you will be asked to sync it. So just keep that in mind. Here we go. Elementor is now loaded. Now, if it's your first time using Elementor Pro or Elementor itself, you'll notice that there is probably nothing on the page, maybe some default text, and then it's going to have a box which looks like this. Now, essentially what this is going to do is on the left side, you have a plus button, which is going to allow you to choose different structures or different types of layouts. And on the right, we have a templates folder. So I'll show you the templates inside of here. Now, if you only want certain parts, you can have blocks, which is essentially just sections of web pages that you can drop in there. Maybe you just want something with a bit of text and a button. You could easily just drop this in like so, and it's going to add it to the page. For this particular one, I'm just going to show you the different types of full pages that we have. Now keep in mind that there are actually a lot of full packs in here, so if I scroll down, I can actually see the one I'm using currently for this demonstration, which is law firm, right? So you can see the title and then the actual page itself afterwards. So what I can do, if I want to see all the pages that are relative to this, is I can scroll to the top, and in search, I just type in law firm. And as you can see, there is 9 pages, 9 completely different pages that I can use for this law firm layout. So that's really, really cool to know. So if you ever wanted to insert any, you just simply click on it, or else you can click on the magnifying glass and it's going to show you what the actual page looks like. But for some reason, oh no, it's loaded quickly now. Before my internet was slowing down. But this is what it looks like, and if you're happy with it, you can just press insert and it's actually going to add it to the bottom of the page. So that's really cool. So that's how you would add in a template, or that's how you would add in a block. I can actually just add in a quick block so you can see what it looks like right now. I'll choose one actually here. So I'll add in a quick block just for those that don't exactly know what they're doing, and I press insert, and it's only going to take a quick moment, and then it will be added in like so. Right, so it's real quick, real easy. Okay. Right, so now we have seen the Elementor page templates. I'll quickly go over the different types of modules that we have, right? So one thing that I tripped up on after using different themes was the intersections, right? So you can see how we've got sort of 2 sections here, and then inside here we've got another section. It was really confusing to me how to create this at the beginning. It wasn't sort of black and white, but luckily I can show you how you can do it real quickly. So let's just say I wanted to start from scratch. If I have this blank template in here, the easiest way of doing it is actually grabbing intersection. And if you grab intersection and drop it in here, you'll now see we have 2 sections. Now if you want to make 3 sections, let's say, you could actually just right click on one of these different bookmark type things, and you can just press duplicate, and it's going to create another section. Another way you could do it is just simply adding in an element next to it. So there's loads of ways you can do it, and let's just say I wanted to double this again. I could just duplicate it to make 6, so I've got 2 rows of 3, or else you can just drag things in and it would add it in there. So that's how simple it is. You just have to start with the intersection element just so you can start working from there. So that's real easy. Now let's just say you wanted to have a standard element at the top. Let's just say like a heading. You just simply drop everything in here, and then once you have highlighted it, you can change, the alignment, the colors, everything is inside of here. So it's real simple to do. If you're watching this tutorial, you probably already know how to do that anyway, so I won't get too in depth with it. If we come down to the Pro modules, you guys probably have already played with all the basic modules. In the Pro modules, we've got some really cool things. You can play around with post layouts, you can play around with forms. For this particular example, I think I'll probably show you some post layouts, because you will most likely be building a blog. So to do this, what you can do is once it's inserted and once you've highlighted it, just to make sure you know you're highlighting the right thing, you can just click on it. As you can see, you can now right click and it's going to show you all the access options. So click edit, and on the left this should pop up, and if you click on skins on the layout, you can choose cards, which essentially is going to have a certain amount of cards per line. As you can see here, you can choose the amount of pages in the columns. So if you wanted 6 narrow ones, you can have 6 narrow columns. 3 is usually the good go-to length. And if you only wanted to show 6 of your latest posts, or whichever posts you want to choose by category, you can just choose it here. So this all depends on the types of layout. Once again, you can show the images. You can change your image sizes if you want. Generally, you keep it on 300 by 300. And going down, there's not really too much I generally change in here. If you want to take off the read more text, you can do so. If you want to play with the metadata a little bit, you can play so, like the time, the comments. Some people like to add comments in there. Some people like to withdraw it. That's all up to you. You can also add in things like author. But this is all quite easy stuff to do. The only thing I really do with the posts is either change the gap between actual blogs. I've only got one blog live right now, so I can't actually show you. I should have probably duplicated it, but that's all there. So what I generally would do is play with the border radius. I like to give mine a bit of a nice little curve. As you can see, it's got a nice little curve around the outside now. You can also play with the width. I generally don't play with the width. That's if you want to have a colored border. So if you wanted to have, say, black, you could make the border a bit thicker or thinner, depending on how you want it to look. And there's also things like hover effects. At the moment, it's on gradient. You can just put it to none if you want, but apart from that, it's pretty straightforward. Same thing with the image. You can play around the image and the content. So I'm not really going to go too much more into that. The only thing you'd probably want to play with is maybe your margins, but that's all there. It's a pretty straightforward module. Obviously, the more you play with things, the more things that could go wrong. So just try to play with a few things at a time, and when you're happy with it, a few settings, then you can go to the next one, right? So that is the blog module, right? Next, I want to show you the form module, right? So I know a lot of people who are watching this like to create opt-in forms, and I highly recommend, if you don't create opt-in forms, to look at creating opt-in forms. They're a very powerful thing. So what I'm going to do is show you the form option, because when I first started, it was a little bit confusing. So I'm going to drop the Pro module form in here, and then as you can see, I'll just scroll down a bit so you can see it a bit better. Actually, I'll move it into this side. As you can see, everything is here. We've got name, email, and message. Now, for a standard opt-in form, generally for an email subscription form, you wouldn't have message, so you can easily press X. And most of the time you won't have labels, so you can easily remove those there. And now we have now we've got an easy sort of basic layout we can start with, right? So what you want to do, if you want to edit any of the variables here, you can just click on what's available, and then you can come through, change the placeholder name. I usually change it to like enter your name, and then for email, I'll type in enter your email address, and then that looks pretty good. Now you can change the column width if you want. Most of the time you're not going to do it, but one thing I like to do is make the name required, so you can play with that. If you want to add other items in here as well, as you can see, there's loads of different things that you can add in, things like text area, select boxes. What else would most people use? Those are probably the two most common ones, select boxes and text areas. And then all you need to do is label it and put in a placeholder, and you can make it required if you want or not. So that's pretty much the basics of it. Now, if we come down to, say, the form, so if we go down to buttons, you'll see that we have here the submit button. So what generally people would put is something like get instant access, and in the style you can change the typography and everything for that. If you want to make it slightly bigger, you can also just change the buttons here. Like, it's just going to make the overall sort of padding and width a little bit different. That's entirely up to you though. So that's pretty much the basic of it. If you want it to be smaller as well, you can change it here to sort of center, left, or right, or else you can do justified, which is the full width. This one confused me a little bit at the beginning, but that's the basics of it. You can also add in IDs and stuff if you want to play with CSS as well. Now, if you're adding it to an email subscription service, something like GetResponse, Aweber, ActiveCampaign, you can actually go to this next section here, Actions After Submit. If you have email, what it's going to do is actually email you each time someone fills it out. So for an email subscription, we generally wouldn't do that. We would remove that, and we would add in something like ActiveCampaign, GetResponse, ConvertKit, MailerLite, that sort of thing, right? And then what you can do is, once you get in there, you add in your API, and it's going to choose your lists right here. Now, if you're a Moosend user, I know Moosend is starting to become a lot more popular. You can actually get a plugin for Elementor, which is called, I think it's called Moo Elements, I believe, and it's going to add another action here as well. So Moosend will be added in here. I assume it does that for a lot of different providers as well. Apart from that, there's not really too much else you would need. You'll just probably customize it. So if you play with the the row gaps, you can make them more narrow or closer together. The label spacing, we're not actually using labels, so you can't see it. But things like typography, you can add an HTML field. All of this is pretty basic. The field IDs, the buttons, you might want to change the background colors and everything like that. This is all done inside of here. But one thing you probably would want to change is your success message. So this depends on if you want to have a message at the bottom or you want it to redirect. If you want it to redirect, you would do actions after submit as well. So you'd add a redirect as well, and then you can put where you want to redirect it to. But if you want it just to stay on the page, let's say if it was an opt-in for, just a message form. So if I had, say, message in here, text area, and this could be like enter your message. This could be just for like a service or a contact or anything like that. What you'd want to do is change your success message, right? So I would generally change it to, if it's a white, something like a black background, because it's going to show up just below it. If it's on a black background, you want to change it to white, vice versa, all that sort of thing. So if you are testing this out and it's not working, make sure you can see your actual error messages, and if you want to, all your messages in general, I should say. And if you have error messages or anything like that, you can change all the colors as well. So let's just say I wanted it blue. So that would be pretty much good to go. Apart from that, I think that's all you would need to know about the forms. Then you can also play with things like, the padding around the container and everything like that, and borders and things like that. But that's pretty much the form. Most people I've talked to are just confused about the form. Maybe they want a little bit of help with the blog, as well as things like the footer and the navigation menus. So that's pretty cool. So that's your basic sort of things to do with Elementor Pro. As you can see, when we go down, we've got things like portfolio, galleries, login bars, nav menu. If you wanted to like drop one in here, it would have the different types of menus that you have. You've got your different types of layouts. If you wanted a vertical one, things like that. These are all here. It's all pretty easy, to use. That's the good thing about Elementor. It's quick to load, and it's also really easy to use. You've got things like countdown timers. I'll actually show you the entire list instead of scrolling them through that. So we've got post, portfolio, gallery, form, login, slides, nav menu, animated headline, price list, price table, flip box, which is pretty cool, call to action, media carousel, testimonial carousel, reviews, table of contents, countdown, share buttons, block quote, Facebook button, Facebook comments, Facebook embed, Facebook page, template, and Lottie. So there's more than enough sort of modules that you need for Elementor. You've got more than enough to create pages. It's a really cool thing. There's not too much that you really need to know about Elementor, but before I go, I just quickly want to show you this cool feature about adding elements into footers. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to add a quick, I'm going to delete this, so it's just a single width. And what I'm going to do is quickly just create an opt-in form that I'm going to add to the footer, just to show you how quick and easy it is. So for this example, I might just remove the message, edit forum, remove the message. So that should go in a second. And I'm just going to add, did that go? And what I'm going to do is add some text. I'll change the typography to white. Now you might be wondering why white, but it's because the background down the bottom is black, and as far as I know, you can't actually edit it while it's down there. So that's why I'm just going to do it while it's here. So I'm just going to center this, once again make it white, and I might even just change the padding a little bit at the bottom, just because I know they love to put big gaps in there. I might do the same here too. That's all done. So what I'm going to do is right click on this and press save as template, and I'm going to call it newsletter. All right, so save that. So that's all done. Now if I come back to here, let's just say I'm happy with all of this. I'm going to press update. Now what I'm going to do is come back to the customizer, and I'm going to just reload this page so it sees that I've created a new template and saved it, like so. And if I come to footer widgets, sorry, if I go to widgets, and footer widget 1 and click add a widget, you can actually add Elementor library. And as I've saved it as an Elementor template, I can actually choose the template down the bottom. Now it is going to probably need a little bit of adjusting. I just really wanted to show you what it looked like quickly. So if I go newsletter section, it's just going to take a second to load, and you're going to notice that it's now going to have a newsletter opt-in form here. So it's really cool. See, so probably the text is probably a little bit big, but apart from that, it looks really nice. So that's the easiest way you can do it here. And just think, if we come back to here, we could put any elements that we have inside of here, like potentially could put like a social media icon or something in there. You could drop it in there, and then you can add it to your footer, just giving you some ideas here. But that's probably what I would do. So that's really cool. And the other cool thing about it as well is you can actually add it to the footer as well, not just the you can actually add it to the bottom bar, not just the standard footer. So to do that, you'd just go to the bottom bar and you'd choose, say this one, and on the second section you would choose widget. And then once you choose widget, it's actually going to add another widget section to the widgets tab. So I'll quickly show you that once it's loaded. Now it's loaded. If I scroll down widgets, now we also have footer bar section 2, which is going to be here. So that's pretty much it, guys. We've gone through loads of things inside of here. I don't think there's too much else I need to show you. I'll just quickly go through the templates again, just to show you what we have. We've got like hotel ones, restaurant ones, study ones, agency ones, real estate, restaurants, barbershops. There's so many different ones. I'm sure on the Elementor page it's going to have everything there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump behind the camera now and just wrap this up with a few extra words. Okay guys, so that was my Elementor Pro tutorial. It's all relevant for 2020. I know a lot of people are looking for up-to-date stuff, but as you can see, it's an extremely easy to use plugin, a page builder. It's amazing, it's fast, and it's got so many different types of features. Hopefully by now that has given you enough to actually get started with, help you build your own pages and help you make it look amazing. There's so many different Elementor page templates, so I'm sure you can find one that suits you. One way I like to do things is find a layout on one of the pre-made templates that looks sort of what I'm trying to build, and then I'll go through and edit it to make it my own. It's the easiest way, and as you have the blocks there, you can quick and easily add and remove things, so it makes life a lot easier. Anyway, that's it guys. I hope you've enjoyed this Elementor Pro tutorial. If you have enjoyed it, please hit the thumbs up button, and if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe. Once again, before I go, if you are deciding if you want to buy Elementor Pro or not, I have left a link in the description, and if you do use that, I'm going to give you a free SEO course that I'm not actually selling to the public. It's exclusive just to supporters of my channel, so make sure you check that out. And that's it for me guys. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you on the next video.